In the next episode of The Young and the Restless, Monday full episodes, the tension surrounding Jack Abbott's disappearance continues to intensify, pulling several key characters deeper into a dangerous web of manipulation, secrets, and psychological warfare. What initially seemed like a mysterious disappearance is now revealing itself as something far more sinister, and the stakes for everyone involved are growing by the hour.
As the story unfolds, viewers can expect Jack to take a bold and calculated step in his desperate attempt to escape his captors, while back in Genoa City, the Abbott family struggles to respond to Victor Newman's chilling demands.
The situation has evolved beyond a simple rivalry between two powerful families. It has become a battle of wills, where every decision could determine whether Jack ever returns home alive. Let's begin with Jack Abbott, who currently finds himself at the center of this terrifying ordeal. After being kidnapped under mysterious circumstances, Jack wakes up far away from Genoa City, trapped on a luxurious yet isolating yacht drifting somewhere in the open sea. The environment around him is deceptively calm. The water stretches endlessly toward the horizon, the wind moves quietly across the deck, and the interior of the yacht reflects the wealth and control of whoever orchestrated this operation. Yet beneath that surface elegance lies a prison. Jack quickly realizes that he is not simply a passenger on this vessel. He is a captive removed from the world and placed in a carefully controlled environment where escape will not be easy.
Victor Newman's message to Genoa City makes the situation even more terrifying. Victor is demanding the release of Chancellor, making it clear that unless his conditions are met, no one will ever see Jack again. The ultimatum sends shockwaves through the Abbott family, forcing them to confront the horrifying possibility that Victor has escalated their decades-long rivalry into outright kidnapping.
While the Abbotts scramble to find a solution, Jack's situation takes an unexpected turn. In a twist that feels almost surreal, Jack runs into someone from his past aboard the yacht. That familiar face belongs to none other than Patty Williams. For long-time viewers, Patty's appearance instantly raises alarm bells. Her complicated history, emotional instability, and unpredictable behavior make her a dangerous wildcard in any situation. The fact that she is now connected to Jack's captivity suggests that Victor may not be acting alone. Whether Patty is knowingly assisting Victor or simply entangled in another chaotic scheme remains unclear, but her presence changes everything. Jack understands immediately that Patty could represent both a threat and an opportunity. If she is helping Victor willingly, then she could tighten his captivity and eliminate any chance of escape. But if Patty's emotional attachment to Jack can be awakened, she might also become the key to his survival. That realization pushes Jack into a delicate psychological strategy. Rather than confronting Patty or demanding answers, he begins negotiating with her, carefully choosing his words and gestures to appeal to her emotions. Jack knows that Patty has always been vulnerable to affection and attention, and he hopes that by offering her the possibility of intimacy or companionship, he might persuade her to loosen the restrictions around him. The negotiation becomes less about force and more about influence, as Jack attempts to transform Patty from a guard into an ally. Meanwhile, back in Genoa City, Billy Abbott refuses to sit still while his brother's fate hangs in the balance. Billy knows that time is working against them, and every hour that passes without progress increases the risk that Jack's situation could become irreversible. Unfortunately, Billy is still facing his own limitations. He has not yet secured the Chancellor position, which means he lacks the leverage necessary to challenge Victor directly. That reality pushes him toward a difficult decision. Billy approaches Phyllis Summers, hoping she will follow through with the controversial deal she previously proposed. If Phyllis truly intends to trade Chancellor for Jack's freedom, then now may be the only moment to make that move. Billy's appeal is driven by desperation. He is not thinking about long-term consequences or corporate strategy anymore. He simply wants his brother back. But convincing Phyllis is far from simple. Phyllis has never been a predictable player, and her motivations are rarely as straightforward as they appear. While she publicly claims that Victor is lying about Jack's kidnapping, the truth is far more complicated. Phyllis may already know exactly what Victor has done, Her denial could be part of a larger psychological game designed to manipulate the situation to her advantage. The more Billy presses her, the clearer it becomes that Phyllis is not acting purely out of concern for Jack. The red-haired strategist has always thrived in moments of chaos, and this crisis offers her an opportunity to reshape the power dynamics of Genoa City. By pretending to doubt Victor's involvement, she creates confusion among those trying to solve the mystery. At the same time, she positions herself as someone who might still control the outcome. If she ultimately decides to complete the deal with Victor, she could present herself as the hero who saved Jack's life. But if she delays long enough, the situation could evolve in ways that give her even greater influence over both the Abbotts and the Newmans. This psychological maneuvering frustrates Billy, who simply wants decisive action. He struggles to understand why Phyllis would hesitate when Jack's life may be at risk. Yet, for Phyllis, hesitation is part of the strategy. She knows that once Chancellor is handed over, Victor will gain enormous power again. And if Victor regains that power, there is no guarantee he will keep his word about Jack. That uncertainty forces Phyllis to calculate every possible outcome before making a final move. At the same time, Victor Newman remains as enigmatic as ever. His demand regarding Chancellor sends a clear message that he is willing to push the situation to extremes in order to regain what he believes belongs to him.
Victor has always seen the world as a battlefield where only the strongest players survive, and from his perspective, the Abbott family has challenged his authority for far too long.
By taking Jack off the board, Victor temporarily neutralizes one of his greatest rivals while applying pressure on everyone connected to him. The strategy is ruthless but effective. The longer Jack remains missing, the more desperate the Abbotts become, and desperation often leads to mistakes. Victor understands that fear can force people into deals they would normally reject, and he appears confident that the Abbott family will eventually give him exactly what he wants. But Victor may be underestimating how complicated the situation has become. Between Phyllis's unpredictable maneuvers, Billy's determination to fight back, and Jack's own attempts to manipulate Patty aboard the yacht, the outcome is far from certain.
As the story continues to unfold, the tension surrounding Jack's captivity will only grow stronger. Every character involved is moving closer to a critical decision that could change everything.
Jack is risking his life by trying to influence Patty and escape the yacht.
Billy is pushing Phyllis to finalize a deal that could restore Victor's power but save Jack's life. Phyllis is playing a psychological game that may ultimately determine who holds control in Genoa City.
And Victor remains the silent architect behind it all, watching as the pieces move across the board exactly as he anticipated.
The next episodes promise to reveal whether Jack's negotiation with Patty will bring him one step closer to freedom or push him deeper into danger.
At the same time, Billy's desperate plea to Phyllis could either accelerate Jack's rescue or unleash an even more destructive chain of events. For viewers, the biggest question remains unresolved. Will Jack manage to outsmart Patty and escape before Victor's plan reaches its final stage? Or will the Abbott family be forced to surrender everything in order to bring him home? The coming episodes of The Young and the Restless are clearly building toward a dramatic turning point, one that could reshape the relationships and power struggles that have defined Genoa City for years. The demand hangs in the air like a loaded weapon. For Jack, the moment is both uncomfortable and dangerous. He understands exactly what Patty is asking and what it represents. To her, the kiss is not just a playful reward for cooperation. It is validation for the fantasy she has built around Jack for years. For Jack, however, it is a calculated risk. Agreeing to Patty's request could buy him the freedom to explore the yacht and possibly find a phone, but it could also deepen Patty's emotional attachment to him in ways that might spiral out of control later. Still, Jack has little choice. Every second he spends locked inside that room reduces his chances of escape. If Patty believes that Jack is finally returning her feelings, she might lower her guard just enough for him to act. So Jack begins walking a careful emotional tightrope, using charm, humour, and carefully measured attention to keep Patty engaged while quietly pushing the situation toward the outcome he needs. He knows that if Patty senses even the slightest hint that he is mocking her or manipulating her, the entire plan could collapse instantly. Patty's temper has always been unpredictable, and rejection has historically triggered some of her most destructive actions. Jack therefore has to perform a delicate balancing act. He must appear sincere without becoming trapped in Patty's emotional expectations. He must offer just enough affection to keep her cooperative while secretly searching for any opportunity to reach the outside world. As Patty finally allows Jack to step outside the locked room and explore parts of the yacht, the tension grows even stronger. Jack's eyes constantly scan the environment, searching for any sign of a phone communication device or unsecured area that could help him contact Genoa City. The problem, however, is that Patty rarely lets him out of her sight. She has waited far too long for this moment with Jack to risk losing it by allowing him to wander freely. Her attention remains fixed on him, watching every movement, every glance, every gesture. This makes Jack's task far more difficult. If he is going to find a phone, he may have to distract Patty in a way that feels natural enough not to arouse suspicion. That could mean continuing the flirtation, extending the illusion that he might actually be interested in her. It is a dangerous psychological game. The more convincing Jack becomes, the more emotionally invested Patty may grow, and if she eventually realizes the truth, the fallout could be catastrophic. In a situation like this, the difference between survival and disaster may come down to one misplaced word or one poorly timed reaction. Jack is fully aware that he is playing with emotional fire, but he has no alternative. If Patty believes his affection is genuine, she may eventually trust him enough to leave a phone unattended or even allow him a brief moment alone. And that single moment could be the only chance Jack has to send a message that he is still alive.
Back in Genoa City, the anxiety surrounding Jack's disappearance continues to escalate. The Abbott family has reached a point where every small clue feels like a lifeline, even when the evidence is fragile and uncertain.
Billy Abbott finds himself staring down at a message that immediately raises new questions. His expression tightens as he reads it, trying to determine whether the information is genuine or part of another manipulation by Victor Newman. Billy has spent years battling Victor and understands how easily the older man can twist situations to his advantage. The possibility that Victor might simply be playing a psychological game with them cannot be ignored. Billy wonders whether Victor's ultimatum about Chancellor is simply another bluff designed to destabilize the Abbott family. If Victor is lying about Jack's situation, surrendering anything would only strengthen his position. But if Victor is telling the truth, ignoring the demand could put Jack's life in even greater danger. The uncertainty is agonizing. Kyle Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott take a different perspective. For them, the situation feels far too serious to dismiss any potential lead. They argue that even the smallest clue could help them locate Jack before Victor's plan moves to its next phase. Diane, in particular, senses that the family cannot afford to waste time debating whether Victor is bluffing. Victor's history shows that he is capable of extreme measures when he feels cornered, and kidnapping Jack would not be the first time he crossed moral lines to achieve his goals. Kyle supports his mother's reasoning, believing that the family must pursue every possible lead, no matter how uncertain it seems. This disagreement creates tension between Billy and the others. Billy's instincts tell him that Victor may be manipulating them into making a mistake, but Kyle and Diane argue that inaction could be far more dangerous. As the debate continues, the Abbott family finds itself trapped between caution and urgency. Every decision carries enormous risk. The entire situation illustrates how deeply Victor Newman's influence continues to shape events in Genoa City. By removing Jack from the equation, Victor has forced the Abbott family into a reactive position where every move they make is shaped by fear and uncertainty. Meanwhile, Jack himself is fighting a quiet and intensely personal battle aboard the yacht, trying to outmaneuver Patty without triggering the emotional explosion that could destroy his chances of escape. The contrast between the chaos in Genoa City and the tense psychological duel unfolding at sea creates a powerful narrative tension. On land, the Abbots are struggling to interpret clues and predict Victor's next move. On the yacht, Jack is risking everything on his ability to manipulate a woman whose emotional instability could either save him or doom him.
As the storyline moves forward, viewers are left wondering whether Jack will succeed in finding a phone before Patty realizes what he is doing.
If he manages to send even a brief message, it could give the Abbott family the information they desperately need to locate him. But if Patty discovers that Jack has been deceiving her, her reaction could be explosive. For now, the fate of Jack Abbott remains uncertain, balanced precariously between strategy, emotion, and the dangerous game of manipulation he has been forced to play.
Meanwhile, in Genoa City, Billy, Kyle, and Diane must decide whether to follow Victor's demands or continue searching for another path. One wrong decision could cost them everything.
And in the unpredictable world of the young and the restless, even the smallest choice can set off a chain reaction that changes the future of every family involved.